Hello there. It's me, your old pal, Danger Room Dan. Can you hear me okay out there in internet land? I sure hope so. Oh man, we got nobody watching. That's fine. That's good because I'm getting things under control. Oh wait, we got one person watching. Hey there. It's Danger Room time. Today we're going to talk about all kinds of kooky stuff, right? The Danger Room is my freeform stream where I get to talk to you. I get to mix it up a little bit more. Instead of like having to concentrate on my guest all the time, I want to concentrate on this community thing, right? Building this thing and making it happen. So what are we going to do? How do I do this? I got to turn off some stuff here. I don't like the display names. You guys know my name. I'm Dan. This is the Danger Room. And I'm always trying new stuff. So today we're going to talk about what? I even got a list somewhere around here. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to look at some comics on the $1 Million Comics cam. We're going to talk about whatever pops into my head. I got a whole list of kooky stuff that I like to talk about, or that I thought about talking about on this stream, but we'll see. We'll just do it kind of a little bit freeform. If you hear me out there, if you're watching, I see a few of you watching, please give me a comment in the comments. I'd love to mix it up with you. If you guys got any questions about anything I'm talking about today, be happy to go over it, go into detail on it. I got too many apps open over here, so let's get into the show today. Let's start it off with a bang. I've showed this before, so apologies if you've seen it, any of you people watching this. But I want you to check out a little something by a guy called Ian Huber. And let's start off the show with a bang with Hyperbole. Oh, we're getting Echo City. I might just turn the volume off altogether on this one. Turn this guy off. All right, so this is a killer piece by Ian Hubert done in Blender. All these are cool techniques that I've been trying to learn. I'm super inspired by. I'll never make anything as cool as this, I don't think, in Blender, but I'll do my best. I've been trying. I put together a little robot buddy here. Around here somewhere. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Robot buddy to help me check out new stuff here on the internet. Today we're going to talk about comics. So let's go in. Let's just go straight into the comic stuff. I need to pull up the old Danger Room and plug us in. So let's talk about all kinds of shit that's going on. Let's talk about some comics you may or may not have heard of before. Let me get rid of this guy. We're going to go straight into some deep cuts here and talk about some stuff I got here. I got it thrown up on the $1 Million Comics cam. Oh man, I got mouse issues and technical issues galore, but we'll take a look at this stuff right now. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Danger Rooms is clearly a beta product. So we'll take a look at this stuff today. I don't know if you've ever seen. Let me just turn this mouse on for just a sec because I know this will do what I need. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's so much better. Oh, that's ridiculous. Great. Okay, let's use the mouse for this. So let's talk today. We're going to talk about all kinds of good stuff. We're going to talk about. I talked to Mike Richardson really recently, and we talked a lot about concrete. So let me start off with that, and then maybe we'll talk about some of this other stuff too. Okay, so concrete is one of my all-time favorite indie comics ever. For all the best reasons. One, all the work we're going to see today, I noticed sort of after the fact, it's all works by singular cartoonists, right? So no team really, there's editors involved, but no inkers, usually this is the same writer and artist. And concrete is one of those amazing things. I talked with Mike Richardson about it just a little bit. I think that's a little closer to reality right now. I talked to him about it a little bit, and he swore that there's new concrete coming, and someday there will be a concrete media adaptation. I showed a clip from one. You should check out that Mike Richardson video. If you didn't, you may enjoy it. Anyway, we talked a lot about concrete, and I'll show you today why it's one of my favorites. Okay, guys, sorry I'm a little rough today, but I didn't get everything all set up the way I like to get it set up before a show. And now I'm running a little ragged, but that's fine. Okay, what are these? These are called concrete bumper editions. Okay. And these are like a prestige format compilation of 2 thematically related issues of concrete. I don't even think they're consecutively numbered issues necessarily. This one focused on concrete, the character taking some jobs. This one focused on him doing some adventures on land and sea, like natural nature style adventures. And there's some of my favorite material. Okay, the beauty of concrete, the comic was, he first appeared in Dark Horse Presents, and you didn't know who he was, right? You didn't know why this concrete guy would sort of show up and have these weird little adventure stories that they weren't superhero stories by any stretch of the imagination, but there was also this untold backstory to the character Concrete himself, this weird guy. So it's everything else was like a hyper kind of realistic world, but this guy was there. And he's not a superhero, but he was a celebrity. Okay, so Concrete, when we first learn about him, he's just a guy who sort of does things, and he's got unknown motivations, but he's obviously just a person, and not a very like active, super heroic guy who, once he got into this concrete body, wanted to do these great adventures. So we don't know how he got this body. We just know he's in there. We don't know much about him yet. Okay. And these were stories from the single issue. So he started in Dark Horse Presents in these short stories, but then rapidly went on to do his own series because it was a big hit. Mike Richardson talked about that. Paul Chadwick was, a professional working for Marvel, could have just stayed doing that, but he had other ideas. So the first story in this, and one of the reasons this is one of my favorites, I can't really get to it right now, but I own this cover. This is the only piece of cover art I own, but it's this wraparound cover to Concrete Odd Jobs. I've got it back here in the studio. And anyway, this is the idea that Concrete went on like the David Letterman show and asked people for ideas about what he should do with his crazy body, right? And they told the people that he was a government cyborg project that just didn't work out, and so he was set free to just do his own thing. This is just sort of his cover story, right? Anyway, he got some letters and got invited to do different things. And one of the things he got invited to do was to provide security on a rock star's tour. And this is a sort of a prince-like character called Duke. And the whole story is really, it's really a character study. So we get to learn the crazy, like paranoid, vegetarian, gun-loving character, the Duke. Sort of a Prince analog, right? Prince, Duke, you get it. But this guy had a John Wayne fetish, so he calls himself the Duke. Anyway, he goes on these concerts, and he gets all kinds of crazy letters like any rock star does, but he loves to shoot off real guns at his concert and get into really like dangerous situations. And Concrete is supposed to be like his cool. I see a few guys watching out there, a few comments. Yeah, we're gonna talk to Age of Reptiles for sure. We'll talk about Age of Reptiles for sure. Anyway, and yeah, Concrete is wonderfully illustrated. That's the one thing I think everybody can agree on. Maybe I can even let's see, get in a little bit closer here in the ye old $1 Million Comics cam. Yeah, cool. Let's do that. A little bit blurry, can't really read the dialogue, but you'll get an idea of what we're dealing with, which is really a master cartoonist who's who's able to take like talkie sequences or whatever and turn them into something really special. And so Concrete gets involved in sort of a murder, sort of a mystery involving a crazy fan who wants to kill him and who wants to kill Duke. And we find out through the course of it the reasons behind it. It's a really cool story. And in it, Concrete gets graffitied as part of like the show, and Duke goes after him with sledgehammers and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, pretty goofy. But he spray painted Homeboy and Pee-wee on him, which were the names of two movies that Paul Chadwick did storyboard artwork on. The movie Homeboy and Pee-wee's, not Big Adventure, but I think Big Top Pee-wee. And like any good story, there's a little action sequence. The thrilling parking lot sequence is loved by all. And you get to learn the story of the truth that Duke is kind of like not what he seems to be, and that the crazy fan, also sort of has a reason and is not what he appears to be either. I don't want to give away the story because it's too wonderful. What I want to talk about is the incredible artwork by Chadwick and just the very idea behind Concrete. And I'll just flip through this. So I'm going to spoil it a little bit, because I will tell you his origins, because we learn by, I don't know, maybe it's issue number 6 of the series that Concrete is really a guy named Laurent Lithgow, who was a political speechwriter who loved camping. He went camping, and on vacation with his pal, he was kidnapped by aliens and put into this weird organic concrete body. Okay. His buddy was too. And they both tried to escape. Only Ron escaped. And his pal, we never learned. He stayed aboard the spaceship, and we never really learned his fate. It's sort of one of the unspoken mysteries of the story. One of those things that's really great. We don't need to know what happened to, I think his name was Michael. Now, in this issue, Concrete goes to work on a family farm and save the farm. And we learn a lot about ecology and farming, which is like a theme of Concrete. Not really farming, but ecology. So Concrete, the character, and the writer, Paul Chadwick, writer and author, are really into eco stuff. So he weaves that into a lot of his stories. And as the series went on, it became a super major part of like the larger arcs. In this one, we just sort of learn a lot about like making a sustainable family farm and what that means. And these folks, they lost their dad, right? Their dad is no longer in the scene, and we will find out why. And that's a big part of the mystery story here that happens for Concrete. You can see a lot of it is concrete in nature trying to deal with like his crazy body. He weighs thousands of pounds. He can see for a mile. He can see a license plate. He can read a license plate from out of an airplane window. Okay. He can see at night, complete night vision. Like he has amazing eyesight. And that's one of his, he feels is one of his greatest gifts because he loves to explore nature. He can also hold his breath for an hour, and he can jump like way further than he should be able to for everything that we know about sort of like muscle bone density and all that stuff. There's really intriguing scientific concepts throughout concrete that make it just like such a great thing. It's in essence, it is a science fiction. It's a work of science fiction. It's one of those kind of classic works of science fiction where really only one thing is sorry folks, only one thing is different, and that's concrete, right? The rest of the world is an utterly realistic, even mundane world sometimes. I really recommend checking out the concrete short story collections that collected his initial appearances in Dark Horse Presents. Little, I think 8-page vignette stories and stuff just set in the universe that give you a little taste. And then you dip into the real series and learn about, slowly get exposed to the origins and where concrete comes from. Like he can't even tell his own pals what's happening. Here we can see him using his night vision. He doesn't need to eat real food. He eats rocks and stuff that precipitate out into his crust. He also has amazing regenerative powers. And in one of the issues, he gets a leg blown off and it regrows. And there's a lot of secrets to concrete's body, including the fact that in the most latest concrete stuff, he actually ends up getting pregnant through like emotional sex with someone. It's really wild stuff. This one also includes a really great short story about like a carjacker and an old couple. It's called What Needs to Be Done. And concrete's sort of coming back from his adventure. This is one of the short stories in Dark Horse Presents that would come out in between the regular issues of concrete. And in this one, he passes by this couple who are sort of like, oh no, we don't need any help. But indeed, they actually did need help because they have been carjacked and are being held at gunpoint by this crazy psycho. Like concrete gets into all kinds of territories. It tells all kinds of stories, adventure stories, emotional dramas, ecological stuff, science fiction, you name it. And we get to see this crafty old codger and how he manages to get his way out of the situation. And it's actually a pretty really cool little crime story with a nice twist payoff on the end. Mwah, fantastic, beautiful concrete odd jobs. I am so proud to own the cover art for this one. I can't even say. I love concrete. I think you should check it out. I'm trying really hard to get Paul Chadwick to come in here and maybe talk to me. I think that will be awesome. Okay, let's talk about another Dark Horse book. Let's talk about Age of Reptiles. I've got the Age of Reptiles Omnibus here by Richard Delgado. Another amazing book crafted like completely by one person. I think Delgado did everything, including the colors on this. And he did the writing, including, but you know, as you're going to see, there's no dialogue at all in this. This is a completely silent pantomime, if you will, nature documentary with some of the best dinosaur drawings, most highly researched and best dinosaur drawings and action scenes you're ever going to see in full color, no less. Trying to take into account modern paleontological theories about dinosaur colors maybe being different than, you know, more colorful, like bird feathers that they evolved into. So let's dive a little bit deeper into Age of Reptiles. Richard Delgado, I follow his Facebook feed, And I've reached out to him too, but I can't even get a ping back from him. He does a lot in Hollywood with Hollywood production design and movies and stuff. But my first and favorite, and the only thing I really care about is his awesome dinosaur comics. I had Steve Bissett in here, and we talked to him about this stuff, and his dinosaur comic Tyrant, right? And I said, who wins in a cage fight between Steve Bissett and Richard Delgado? And he's like, I don't care, Dan. He's so great like that. It's no contest. And I'm just going to say, if the war is how many pages he produced, Delgado, score 1 for Delgado, let's just say, you know, where Steve Bissett is so hyper focused, and his original vision was to like take a dinosaur from birth to death, and show us everything in between, including like how the egg and the yolk develop and stuff. Like, he went into such insane detail that like we barely got to Pirate being born by issue 3. Delgado knows that we got to have some dinosaur action and pacing action right away. So usually these stories are set up as like sort of a war between two factions of dinosaurs or two species of dinosaurs. And I don't really even need to say anything. I can just sort of leaf through this stuff, and you can see yeah, Shadowpunk, I agree. It is gorgeous. It's some of the best dinosaur stuff you're ever going to see. Went in here a little. And I'm just going to go through and let you soak it in. And it's in beautiful color. Now, this is one of those situations. This is one of those dark horse omnibuses. So the thing that's a kind of a shame about it is the trim size. I get it's for bookstores and stuff, but it's smaller than a regular comic. And really what we need for this is like an oversized treatment, right? This is like a prestige format with the regular comic book dimensions. This will fit in a comic book bag or whatever. This looks great on a shelf, nice thick spine. It's great. I'm not going to complain that I have this, but it's one where the original single issues are so worth having. They lie flat, nice color and everything else. Speaking of color, like noticing again, just the gorgeous beauty that he puts into each and every panel. I want to see colors. Okay, colors for Tribal Warfare and The Hunt were by James Sinclair. Looks like the color concepts, though, are from Delgado, too. So, like, the color guides of how the dinosaurs should look are from Delgado. But then he brought in a top-notch colorist to do the work. And it looks great. This is some nice early computer coloring. They're using the gradients and stuff, but using them subtly and effectively in a way that I think looks really nice. Look at that. Yeah, I agree, Shadowpunk. It's the details plus the graphic feel. So well done. Completely. And it's also, yeah, let's look at just the page layout. Let's look at the emotion captured in reptile faces that tell a story. Let's look at the panel to panel, action to action progression that makes it just feel like we're there in a nature documentary. You can go into any panel and you get great detail, but then you pull it back and it's a beautifully composed, incredibly easy to read comic. You know, usually no more than 4 or 5 panels per page, occasionally more when it's called for. But given enough room, a lot of widescreen full width panels, a lot of that gives it this widescreen comics feel like Mark Millar talked about and Brian Hitch talked about when he was on the show. Look at this, and going to full splash page with just a reaction inset here. I think this gives it a really kind of a cinematic feel. this is a big part of what captures that cinematic feel and makes this feel like an IMAX nature documentary or something. You know what I mean? Really great stuff. There's gags and jokes. I'm just going to keep going through this thing. I had almost forgotten about the beauty. He's got moments of like quiet moments of grace and these beautiful scenes. I think, did he create it for kids? I think he is a big kid when it comes to dinosaurs, and everybody is. And I think this is, if you saw the Disney movie Dinosaur, where they had the opportunity to do something like this, but decided to make it more like kids friendly, family friendly kind of fare. That wasn't good. Oh, sorry, guys. What is good is these beautiful dinosaur comics. I'll bring in my robot pal here to take a look too. Just look at, I mean, I don't think there's a better, I really think Delgado is the master. I think this is truly all ages stuff that you could show to anybody, any kids. It is bloody and gory, but what are you going to do? It's dinosaurs, right? They're carnivores. They're ripping each other apart. But there's no extreme viscera shown or whatever you want to call it. So I think it is absolutely great for kids. Look at that. I love the choices of colors, the purples and stuff. Really makes them feel like tropical birds more than anything. What happened here? I lost a camera or something. I got technical issues in effect. Yeah. Wow. What's going on with this thing? I think I may need to get a new camera one of these days, guys. I'll get it going. It's all right. We'll keep talking about dinosaurs till I get this thing sorted out. It'll probably take a second. I think I probably kicked a wire. Look at this. I love the blue brontosaurus. Just colors and choices we haven't seen before, because why not? Why not just make it visually colorful and appealing in this way? I think it's worth doing for sure. And just, gives us a vision like, I don't know. We haven't seen, like I said, this was post Jurassic Park for sure, but before that dinosaur movie from Disney. And just look at the cool designs, all researched and real, like real paleontological research went into making Age of Reptiles. It's so, oh God, there's hundreds of pages here, guys, and I could go through them all because there's not a bad page among them. Man. Oh, man. And he did multiple series that really chronicled just some great stuff, unforgettable stories. And these are gripping, easy to read, and like really gripping. They read fast, obviously, because there's not a lot of words. But man, you can just go back and sink your eyes into the crazy details as much as you want. I'm going to highly recommend Age of Reptiles to you, I think. And what else have I got here for you? Let's see if I can get my camera back going again or not. Oh, yeah, great. Excellent. Awesome. Terrific. Okay, what else have I got? I got two more things on my list of weirdo comics to show. Which should I do first? Let's pivot over from dinosaurs Delgado into Joost Swarte from Fantagraphics. Is that all there is? Now, this guy is just fantastic cartoonist. Oh man, I didn't even. I think he's Dutch. It's got a forward here by Chris Ware. Now, this is one of those guys who's just like a supreme master of design, I think. And it's very Hergé, like Tintin influenced. Let me get in closer. I think that's good. Okay. So let's look at Joost Swarte. Is that all there is? And we'll see. There's one image in here that is, I just think, one of the most beautiful single images out there I've ever seen by a cartoonist. Just like a story captured in a single frame. And I'll get into that when I get a little closer to it. I'm just going to loop through here. So what you're seeing, you can see it's got a real clear line Tintin-esque style to it. And he did tons of commercial work, but these are just wacky, goofy kind of screwball comics in a sort of European tradition that are super fun and goofy to read. Pretty light stuff for the most part to read. Not for kids though. It's adult stuff. You know, it deals with sex and violence and everything else. But man, you're not going to find a guy with a better style. Yeah, there's some adult stuff going on in Joost Swarte's work, but I want to see if I can find this one image that I just feel like is one of the single finest images in comic. Gosh, I wish I had done my research ahead of time, but oh, here it is. What do you know? Okay. The Mirror. And this picture, oh man, it's kind of hard to see here, but look at what's going on here. And see how this is a giant mirror behind this guy, and he's getting kind of steamed up about something that's going on in his eye line there, which you can see in the mirror here, and you can see what's going on. I just think it's a masterpiece of composition. It's got storytelling and emotion, the guy and everything, with that clear line style and a beautiful kind of deco aesthetic. And that's like Joost Swarte in a nutshell. This is the picture that, to me, if this is the only thing I ever saw by this guy, I'm like, wow. I just remember this image, seeing this image before, and it making me seek out more of this guy and this book in particular. So go get it. Joost Swarte, is that all there is? Because this was like a compilation of like everything that he had produced, I guess, in cartooning up until that time. Okay. What else we got here? One more. This was a weird one. You know, dude, with all the talk about Jim Starlin, I don't hear many, if anybody, talking about Gilgamesh II. Okay, this was a DC Jim Starlin thing. Okay, and this Gilgamesh guy. So it's sort of a sci-fi retelling of the Epic of Gilgamesh, the ancient, is it Sumerian story of the hero Gilgamesh, which is like also contains sort of like stories, prototypical stories, predate the Bible by thousands of years, and have prototypical stories that are sort of in the Bible, like the Great Flood myth and stuff is in Gilgamesh, which predates the Bible, right? It's like a source for the Bible. This is a really beautiful 4-issue series. I don't know if it was ever collected, because this was sort of in the era. This was 1989. Okay. Jim Starlin, story and art, color by Steve Oliff, and lettering by Todd Klein. That's a package you want to seek out, I think, for sure. And it really is a sci-fi retelling of the Epic of Gilgamesh, told with a really cool style, where Gilgamesh is sort of like a child of the gods, he's a demigod, I guess, a child of but he was a product of the gods come to Earth, and becomes a king and has all these adventures with his demigod buddy Enkidu. And in this, we substitute gods for aliens, and it's a lot of fun, man. Good storytelling. This is Starlin really cutting loose. A lot of dialogue, really, really, that earlier era with more dialogue in the comics, which is great. A lot of panels, panel to panel transitions are fantastic. Starlin knows his storytelling, but if anything, it's that cosmic design aesthetic from Starlin that we love so much, and I love so much, and this is just jam-packed full of it. And we sort of learn the history from our little robot dude. He's going. I almost forgot about the little robot guy narrating the story and telling us about, here's our boy Gilgamesh. Ever since then, Chairman Gilgamesh, as he likes to be called these days, has been the captain of our ship of state, the guiding hand directing the 12 united corporations which now smoothly run the world. That is why we all enjoy a time of peace and plenty. Hallelujah. Okay, really cool, but we learn soon enough, he always wears this collar thing, and we learn soon enough that he's really not human at all. He's a descendant of the aliens / gods, right? And what we get is a really beautifully put together 4-issue series. So they look a little more like this. They're humanoid, but obviously not human when you finally see them. This is the first appearance of the wild man, Enkidu, right? So this is another one of these alien dudes from his world. And, spoiler alert, Gilgamesh and Enkidu start off battling, and they have a humongous battles, but they end up becoming pals because they're the only ones who have ever been a match for each other. They're so super powered, and I love this kind of stuff. This is so cool. It's the Starlin tech shots. I love hatches. Hatches on asteroids. Is that a thing you can love? Is that a thing people love? I do. Right? And so Gilgamesh wears a crazy mask, but Enkidu, high-tech thing to disguise his alienness, but Enkidu just sort of wears a helmet. And this is where we get into their first meeting. Oh, man, great spacesuit, combat suit, whatever. And then we get into their epic demigod battle. Yeah, this is good stuff. Okay, if you like Jim Starlin, right? If you like Dreadstar, and of course, if you liked the Infinity Wars, Thanos, Adam Warlock, all that Starlin cosmic stuff, well, this is him doing it at DC with an explicitly, what do we want to call this? We want to call it explicitly, I don't know, fairy tale influenced by real myths, human myths. Hey, Sequential Geek, what's up, dude? Haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Shadowpunk says, interesting how that giant black space isn't really negative space. Okay, you're talking about the Joost Swarte post, I'm going to assume. Sorry, I haven't been paying attention to the comments. Just been yakking on. But yeah, it's that use of negative space for sure. It pulls you down to the figure, but what's really awesome about that picture when we were looking at it is sort of like the misdirection, because he's looking at a direct, because of the mirror, he's looking at a tangent. He's kind of looking away from that. And it's only when you sort of realize it's a mirror and put it together, the story comes together in your head. It's a wonderful thing. It's just wonderful. Sorry. Speaking of wonderful, back to Gilgamesh. This is when he reveals at the end of issue 1, I guess. This is when he finally takes off his mask and reveals he's an alien too, just like Enkidu. And we get a beautiful 4-issue thing. Let's see. And they've got these back covers are, speaking of negative space, it is a beautifully designed thing. This is prestige format from DC. No ads. What's the cover price on this thing? $3.95 with a spine. So I bought these issues and they go right on my bookshelf. Right next to the graphic novels. That's kind of what I love about that era of the prestige format stuff. Keep my Dark Knight issues and whatever. Now, the rest of this goes on to tell, more of the story. And again, spoiler alert, there's tragedy in these stories. I also love the decadence of Gilgamesh himself. I love the Steve Oliff coloring. I don't know what it is. I'm just a sucker for like sort of light colored pastel-ish colors in comics, especially in this kind of like story. This is one where like in the Image era of digital coloring, it would have been dominated with really ugly purple and yellow gradients and trying to give everything more of a sci-fi something. More fancy something. What up, El Crudo? Good to see you, buddy. Can't wait to read the new issue of El Crudo. If you don't know El Crudo, you got to check it out. If you like Monkey Mayhem, and who doesn't? Who doesn't like Monkey Mayhem? Check it. You want to check out El Crudo stuff. Okay, so this is sort of a lost Starlin classic, I think. I remember seeing it. You could pick it up in dollar bins. I think I picked this up recently in just a little collected bin that had all 4 issues bagged up together because this doesn't get a lot of attention. But man, it's got aliens and Aztecs and ninjas and pathos galore. I think you want to check out this thing. Oh, this is... Yeah, they're getting there. I haven't reread it entirely in a long time. And this is when he kind of reveals to himself that they're actually like kindred aliens. Yeah, I agree. It just works for me with this kind of stuff. It gives it a real Mobius feel. That's what it is. That's the guy who did it. Maybe first and best. Definitely like a European look, a bande dessinée look. But man, come on. If you want some Starlin action, and I'm just going to say, Infinity Gauntlet and those comics, not very good. If you want to read one Thanos comic by Starlin, you want to read the one that started the whole Infinity thing. And oh gosh, what was that one called? It was just a one-shot issue, the Infinity Quest, I believe, where he goes after, I think, the Gardener and one of the Celestials and gets like the first of the gems that would go. That is a wonderful book, very reminiscent of this. I wish I could get a hold of that in its original form. But dude, check, come on. Starlin, for cosmic action, I don't think anybody's better outside of who? I don't know. For this really cosmic stuff, that's who you think of, right? That's who you automatically think of as Starlin. Yeah, we were just saying, looks like Mobius. I think so too. That Orphan and the 5 Beasts, that's a Dark Horse. That's a Stoko Dark Horse thing, right? That looks good. That looks like something I want to read that I haven't seen. So I'm definitely, just from the ads alone, I really like that James Stoko. I think that's who you're talking about, right? Cruda. Yeah, the colors do, absolutely look like Mobius. I feel like, Mobius was a huge influence on Starlin too. Had to be, like, from the right era to have been getting into all that heavy metal stuff that was coming out in the States. Okay, more go. I'll just keep going through this because it's worth it. I don't think the cartoonist kayfabe guys have talked about this. I have not seen anybody really talk about this book much, if at all. I would love to see somebody go more into depth than I'm going to right now. Maybe I will someday. If I ever talk to Jim Starlin, I definitely will. Because this is one of my, yeah, this is cool. It's a more adult feel. It's not meant for kids for sure. And that's what the classy trade dress and the prestige format and everything is all about. But still, it's a fun sci-fi comic. This would have been a fun thing if in 89, you were whatever, a 30-year-old dude or, born in the 50s or whatever. You're like, yeah, cool. This is what I want. I want some like sci-fi comic that respects my intelligence, but still has ninjas and shit. Yeah, this is on the list, Warren. I think it's worth reading. Let's see. I'll take you all the way through. Oh yeah, and just like in the myth, oh my gosh, you can't have a best buddy, soulmate, pal like Inky do without some bad stuff happening. Look at these great. I love this panelless action page right here. Look at that. And then with it's just a complete silhouette for the ninja except for the eyes. This is cool. This is not too easy to draw, I don't think, folks. And clearly he can do panels when he wants to. And then he can go into something like this just to convey the mad cap action that's going on. Starlin is a master, dude. Fully masterful. KC masterpiece. Even. Beautiful. And there he is on the corner of Commerce and Graft Avenue, right by the Reagan Bush Monument. That's what old Gilly said. Oh, I like the old days when they didn't put political messages into comic books. Dummies. Of course, they've always been there. These guys are... Of course. You read X-Men. How can you read X-Men and then go like, I hate the social justice warriors. I miss the old John Byrne, Chris Claremont X-Men. Like, talk about a disconnect in some people. I never... Panelist is classic Starlin. Yeah, I mean, but just in here, yeah, with the Steve Oliff coloring makes it one of the better, because this is the original coloring, right? Like, even if you get old Starlin stuff reprinted in graphic novels, it's going to have new, probably crappy coloring, probably on like a glossy stock that stinks, where this is a sort of semi-gloss stock. It's appropriate for the story, and the colors were chosen for the type of paper and the type of presentation they were going for. So this might be one of the best colored Starlin things that you can get out there. I don't know. I don't even know. Beautiful, beautiful. And then on to volume 4. Now, what's really interesting is that Gilgamesh, I remember they ended up putting Gilgamesh in the Avengers. And I had forgotten this was a DC book. And it's like, I think they just obviously just wanted more like public domain demigods in there. Why not? If you're going to have Hercules running around, why not have fucking Gilgamesh? Gilgamesh is badass. If you haven't read the original Epic of Gilgamesh, by the way, it's one of those things I read in college in the folklore mythology class or whatever. Yes, I have a minor in folklore and mythology. It is so good and so short, but so readable. Great action-packed, really great story. One that's really similar to that would be the Chinese story of the Monkey King, recently turned into the Monkey Prince by our pal Gene Luen Yang for DC Comics. He's been in here before. He says he wants to come back again. I mean, of course, you can go back to EC and further for comics with a message from kicking Hitler's ass. Yeah, duh. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying duh to you. I'm saying duh to any of those people who are like, yeah, give me Give me non-political comics like the old days. And there were plenty of those, but like political comics are the best. The ones that have a story or a message in them are the best. Even some of the most asinine Captain America stories, like the John Byrne Cap for President stories and stuff, like there's politics built in one way or another. It's almost impossible not to have a political message in a work of art that's of any substance, whether intended or not, whether in the foreground or in the background, like my political background. Oh, okay, another panel list. Like, look at that. Beautiful. And your eye follows it, and you read the panels in that order, I'm assuming. Starlin. I don't care about his Thanos stuff really too much, especially the later stuff. Give me this. Give me some Dreadstar. Give me some crazy. Look at I mean, dude, this is one giant sort of like meta panel behind with all these little panels here. And those little panels are breaking up action in the giant big panel. So that's all one picture, but these are different moments in time that are coming sequentially as panels. This, yeah, in a word, lovely. I barely even remember what this is about because I didn't do a full reread of this before I did the show because I don't have to. That's the beauty of Danger Room, folks, is that I just get to just leaf through comics, talk about whatever I want to talk about. Oh my gosh, this stuff, he continues with this. That is like a really clever way to break something up into panels. I don't know if I can think of another example. I can't off the top of my head where I've seen this, where the background of this double page spread, mind you, is one picture. And then it's broken up with inset panels. And then you're back into the main background picture, but just in a different moment in time. Wow. Wow. Maybe Cerebus. Cerebus is the one place where I could see this happening. Like when Cerebus talks to Swentis Poe in the Netherworlds or whatever. By the way, we'll be talking about Cerebus here pretty soon. I think maybe next week, I'll bring in Cerebus High Society and we'll do a deep dive on High Society. What do you think, guys? Any books that you guys want to see out there? Let me know, please. I'm looking for comics to cover and topics of discussion that you're interested in hearing about. I want to engage with you because I learn as much from you guys as hopefully you learn occasionally from me. Stray Toasters, that would be a good one. Tough material, but good. And more panel list stuff as it's Gilgamesh in this kind of like weird nether universe. I love this. I'm definitely going to reread this again. You get everything in here. This is everything you love about Starlin and nothing you don't. I'm pretty sure we're nearing the end of Gil's quest. Just pictures like this, just pages like this alone, and you get a lot of them. Beautiful. The crisp white background on this nice kind of mattish finish page. Feels so good in the hand. And we get a sort of ironic epilogue from the far future. I loved Gilgamesh II by Jim Starlin. So I want you to seek this one out, folks. It shouldn't be that hard to find. You'll be able to find it, I think, and enjoy it. Let's see. Yeah, 2000 AD. The Galaxy's Greatest Comic. Get Pat Mills. Pat Mills has been on multiple times on this show. Yeah, go search it out. You'll see me talk with Pat Mills about what do we talk about? tons about martial law. We talked about the origins of Judge Dredd. We talked about working with Brian Bolland. And then we had him back on to talk about, because he actually wanted to talk. He asked me to come on and talk about Glenn Head's Chartwell Manor, a very adult graphic novel that about like abuse of these British boarding schools. Yeah, really like deep stuff, but it had a real personal meaning to Pat. So he wanted to come in and talk about it. It's sort of one of his pet causes, and it was a great comic. And this is a really cool way to have like a conversation about some adult stuff, but dealt with in comics. That's one of my favorite things about comics is like it's almost a contradiction, but the very thing that makes them so perfect for like all ages, like the ability, because it's that ability to see yourself in the simplified drawings of the comics, especially in kids comics, that help reader identify and pull you into the comic, and like you are that simplified character in many ways. That same power is what lets you deal with very adult and complex topic. It's that continuum between the abstract and the real. Scott McCloud talks about it in Understanding Comics. And that's the art, I believe, of comics, is walking that line and figuring out like where in that continuum to place your work. I agree. Chartwell Manor was really good. Tough stuff. Like it's not, don't go in hoping it's going to be the next Harry Potter book, because it's kind of like, it's not, it's the dark side of all that. But man, it was worth checking out. And I had a lot of other stuff on my list that I was considering talking about today, but I don't have a lot of time left. I've got a lot of work in my day job to do. And I want to thank everybody out here that's watching this thing right now. If you're watching The Danger Room for an hour, like 6 or 7 of you guys watch this thing for an hour, that's, to me, that's, if it never got any bigger than that, I'm happy. I'm honored that anybody would take time out of their day to watch this, because in this hypermedia world, you see, I'm not competing with other YouTubers or whatever, other comic book guys, streamers. You compete with everything. Like you only have X amount of attention. It is the ultimate currency, is human attention. And the fact that you spend any time talking to me, I'm honored. I truly appreciate it. What I need from you is, if you like this thing, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, consider subscribing to this channel and put some comments below. If you got stuff that you want me to cover, I'm going to do, this is The Danger Room is not always just about comics. I'll talk about the comics I'm reading, because that's just always at the top of my mind. But I also want to do things like more like, I don't know, more classic YouTube stuff, like reactions to stuff that's going on out there. Talk about stuff in the sci-fi world in general, and just the weird world that we're in. Speaking of which, thank you for watching this thing. So please consider hitting like and subscribe. Do shows on the pros and cons, indie versus mainstream. To me, guys, that battle is won. I thank you for the suggestion, but that battle is won. It's all about independent comics, man. They are one of the most vital art forms of our culture, of our day, and of my life. Because I took, let's put it this way. I took a month off in March. I took my March of Independence. I didn't look at any corporate media. And it was really difficult to find stuff that wasn't produced by corporations, that was of high quality, that really entertained me, with a couple of exceptions. One was public domain stuff, and the other was comics, because I've been reading independent comics my entire life, and there's so much great stuff out there from so many different people. You're not going to go wrong with comics. So I'm comics for life. Mark Burnout enjoys while drawing. This guy draws a lot. I have some comics by Mark. I think we're going to look at them this Thursday. Yeah, this Thursday on the next $1 Million Mailbox with Larry Young. If you haven't seen the $1 Million Mailbox before, with me and Larry, and Larry is the real deal. He was the publisher. He's a writer and publisher of AIT Planet Lair. He's published Warren Ellis and Brian Wood and so many other people. Stories he's written, stories other people have created. He's done it all. So he's the perfect guy. I bring him in here. We look at comics and you get the real deal. I mean, we're not here to savage anybody's work, especially you guys are just trying to first get into producing comics. But what we do is we'll give you the real deal. The biggest criticism that you're going to see on this when I look at people's comics usually is stuff about like page numbering, kerning on the lettering, putting a price at a UPC on the cover of the thing to be more retailer friendly. That's the angle that I'm kind of coming from. Warren Smith says top recommend for the Starlin book for sure. I totally agree. There is, okay, this is a good point. There is a lot of great talent in mainstream comics, but I honestly believe most of those people are in it, especially I'm going to say DC, but also at Marvel too. There's some tremendous new guys. I'm thinking from Marvel, like Russell Dodderman, really great European influence stuff. Like all the new great people are bringing influences from all over in comics, and they are great. But they're work for hire. And true, a lot of these guys like maybe like Ivan Rice is my example of a guy who like draws great Superman comics. He's an ultra awesome cartoonist. But I haven't seen him do any comic that is truly memorable because the writing, it's the combination. There's nothing, and this is with Bendis, who I like writing Superman. I didn't like I liked those comics. I read them. I'm not going back to them again and again, even though they've got some of the best art imaginable. There are great guys in the mainstream. I just wish we would see them wanting to stretch more beyond like being the guy that draws Batman this year and be more into showing us their own vision if they have one. You know, that's where I like guys like who's Stocco, who's done stuff for Marvel in the mainstream, but then pursues his own vision. He'll do Godzilla comics, but then he'll go back to he'll do his own stuff. I want to see the primal, the raw, the unfiltered cartooning most of all. But that is why, I mean, Shadowpunk, you make a great point. That is why I still read mainstream comics. Wait a minute, I got one that I bought. I haven't read yet. It's been on my pile. It's been sitting there. This is good looking stuff, I'm going to say for sure. This Rogues. Okay, let's take a look at this artwork. And like, what is this? This is not, if not reminding me of European comics and Mobius. Let's look at this real quick. Oh, not even big enough to maintain. This is a Black Label comic. But look at some of this stuff. Like, it is really good looking stuff. You know, but in the end, you know, it's a story about Captain Cold. So, like, I don't really care that much. Captain Care and the Rogues or whatever. Like, true, it could be a very funny story. And there's some, I know there's funny parts in it. There's cool stuff with what? Angel, the ape from Angel and the Ape. You know, callbacks to old comics heads that nobody really is going to get unless you're old. Like, this is an insular looking book, but with excellent artwork and had some funny points, but you're really only going to understand it if you're super deep, you know, and you understand what Central City means to the Flash and DC continuity. Like, I know that instantly. So it's instantly meaningful and it adds something to these kind of works. But then I always go like, what about the people that don't know any of this stuff? This is not going to be too meaningful in the slightest. Sorry. You know what I bought this off the shelf. I saw it. I looked at the art. I said, it's beautiful. And I do like it. And I can even enjoy it on the level I think that the author intended. Like, it connects to me. Should I be disappointed that I don't think it connects to other people? Maybe not. Maybe that's dumb. Maybe I should just enjoy it for what it is. It's hard for me. Can you please review Frankenrocker and the Jailbait Punks and the comic Dose? I've never heard of them, but I will. I can. I wouldn't mind doing it. You know, there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much time I have to read comics and to buy comics. But luckily, wait a minute, there's a way that we can fix this. Let me find this. You could send comics to me to review. I will happily take comics from you. Anything. They don't have to be comics that you created. But they have to be, let me see if I can find this thing. They have to be they got to be good comics. They got to be stuff that I'll enjoy. They got to be something weird. Here we go. They got to have singular creative visions. That's the thing that I care the most of. I care less about your rendering ability or your storytelling abilities, because those things can be improved. But if you don't have a singular vision that I haven't seen a million times before, I don't really care that much. But if you do have comics like that, you got comics you want to see me review, or even if you haven't created them, send them here. Send them to the $1 Million Mailbox, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518, and I'll check it out. I'll send you Shadow Punk #1 when I finish it. I can't wait to see that. So we're going to do that on Thursday. Me and Larry are coming in here for what? $1 Million Mailbox 13. This is going to be the 13th time, I think, but who's counting, right? The 13th time that Larry and I have come in here and talk about comics. I think it's going to be fantastic. And then on Friday, we're going to have Serious Star Trek. Oh, man, and I forgot what I called the Serious Star Trek episode for this coming week. Oh, yeah, it's 10 backward. That's right. So on Friday, if you don't get enough Larry on Thursday, and I know you guys like Larry, who doesn't like Larry Young, right? Like, Larry is like the sober yin to my raging yan on the $1 Million Mailbox. But then on Friday, we get to do Larry's show that I helped produce. It's called Serious Star Trek, and we'll be doing our 10 backward episode. What I love about Serious Star Trek is every week I just get to make up some kind of Star Trek related pun and make a goofy image that is apropos of pretty much nothing. And that's sort of just my little artistic moment of zen for the week. So come back Thursday for $1 Million Mailbox. You definitely, if you're a comics folk and you like what I talked about today, come back for that on Thursday. And then on Friday, it's me and Larry and for Serious Star Trek. We also talk about science fiction in general and the world of sci-fi pop culture with kind of a twist. I do a lot more special effects. I'm Blue on that show on Fridays. So I'm what am I? I'm a half Andorian hologram engineer with a serious attitude problem. And we talk about all things Star Trek, Serious Star Trek, and beyond. I really think that you will enjoy that. I need to put an overlay for that. You know, this is the first time that I've this is the first time that I've had this new setup for a show for Danger Room. So Danger Room is really just starting to come together. So you're going to have to excuse me, guys. This is my one where I get to be a little less prepared than I normally am. But on Thursdays, I promise you, when you watch Comic Book News, I'm going to be back. We'll be back in the Bat Cave. I'll be prepared. I'll have my material. I'll have my bookmarks in place and everything else. Warren Smith says anyone can send me comics. Sequential Geek says me too. Space 1999. Yeah, we talked about Space 1999 a lot last week. Larry is a huge Space 1999 guy, and I'm not. I never really got a chance to watch the thing, but the more I learn about it, the more I want to. Jerry Anderson, it did some amazing stuff. The effects are like next level stuff for that era, and I never even really realized it before. Maybe I could take us out on a Space 1999 clip. I think I have one. Let me see where I've got that thing. Do I have it? Space 1999? Yeah, I do. I do. We can watch that thing. Huh. You know, I like Rogan. I'm a Rogan fan. I used to be a big Maher fan, but dude, he seems to be really taking a turn. Bill Maher used to be like considered like the liberal guy, and he's definitely not anymore. Not that I care that much. But I think it'll be interesting. I think I know what they're going to talk about. I think they're going to talk about cancel culture. I'm just so bored of that. You know, we're in a time when, dude, I'm just going to say Mel Gibson was at the Oscars. He still makes movies. Louis C.K. just won a Grammy. Anybody who's been seriously canceled has gotten the Streisand effect on them, and it ends up just putting a focus on them and lets them build their own audience. So, like, I'm sure that's what they're going to talk about. Hopefully they'll surprise me and talk more about it, about more widely varied stuff. But I don't think Bill Maher has been that relevant for a really long time, I'm sad to say. You said it, Warren. I agree with that. Okay, so guys, I got to get out of here. I got literally paying work to do, but man, I'm so thankful for that you guys stuck around and checked it out. I'll see you next time. I'm going to take you out on a little, this is a little Space 1999 just for you folks. We'll see you next time.
I'm Sonny Tufts.
I'm Gloria Jean.
Join us here on WCBN-UZ-ZHYO-TV right here in Scarsdale.
For the most exciting new show since Whiplash, Space 1999.
A firecracker explodes, sending the moon into a complete tizzy.
And making all of us totally wacko.
Come with us and our co-star, S.C. Sackcow.
Space 1999, it's going to be a very, very good year.
Well, fair.
Not too bad.
Come see, come saw.
Well, good enough for Abe Mandel.
For Abe Mandel.